Hello from our city of Zaporozhye, Ukraine, and special thanks to all of you who have been praying for Ukraine and praying for our family. In spite of the darkness of these times, God continues to provide our family opportunities to be a light, to serve, and we're grateful for that. Yesterday, Oksana and I went and prayed with a family. The husband and father is leaving tomorrow morning to defend his country here. And we prayed with them and spent time. Oksana made a scripture prayer card to send with him. And earlier in the day, I had spoken to a full auditorium of refugees who have come here to Zaporozhye from Russian-occupied territories. Each of them just has heartbreaking stories of what they had to endure and what they have suffered. And yet, as I shared the love of Jesus Christ, as I shared the message of the gospel, I could just see in their eyes that they were soaking that truth in. And it was just such a joy to see those people finding comfort in the words of Jesus. Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And to give them that promise and in that invitation that Christ wants to meet them here in the valley of the shadow of death, that was just a privilege. And so God continues to give us those opportunities. But here in Zaporozhye, as you may have read in the news again today, every day there are just horrendous missile strikes by the Russians. And we awoke again today to those explosions and stepped outside and can see the smoke rising from different parts of our city. It's a large city here, Zaporozhye. And so even though it wasn't in our neighborhood, the missile strike this morning that killed several people, you can see what parts of the city looked like right now. This is a picture of what parts of the city looked like this morning early, right after the missile strike. And actually the apartment building that was hit in the bottom level is the coffee shop where our daughter Delina just had her 18th birthday a short time ago. And that building was hit by the Russians today. And what is so frustrating is the propaganda that continues to come out of Putin, out of Russia, that is trying to convince the Russian people as well as the world that in some absurd reality that he is fabricating, the Ukrainians are actually doing this to themselves. That's what he's trying to convince the world, that this is all a lie, that Russia is guiltless in this. Just a few days ago, when the missile attack was unleashed on that humanitarian convoy here in Zaporozhye, people that were just civilians lined up bringing humanitarian aid to the occupied territory. I remember that morning reading in the Russian news how the Ukrainian military was, the Russian military was announcing that they had hit with a missile strike critical military infrastructure of the Ukrainian Nazis. That's what they claimed. Well, as soon as it became apparent that they had hit civilians, a humanitarian convoy, they quickly deleted that. And I remember reading that they said, actually, there were no missile attacks by Russia this morning. There was a humanitarian convoy hit by the Ukrainian military. They were striking their own people and trying to blame it on the Russians. They quickly changed it. They bragged about it at first, that they had hit military infrastructure, and then they quickly changed it when it became apparent what they had done. That's what we're seeing. These attacks like we saw this morning in our city, the horror, the terrorism that's being unleashed upon the civilian population is actually being blamed on the Ukrainians. We are with our own eyes seeing the Ukrainian military trying to save these people, digging through the rubble, helping, and yet the Russian government, Putin, is blaming Ukraine for this. And that's what is so frustrating. And what is even more frustrating is that there's people that are believing that propaganda. There are even American news outlets that are saying that what Russia is saying is true, that Ukraine is doing this to themselves. Ukraine is full of Nazis. Ukraine is all of this absurdity, all of these lies and deceptions. And for those of us that are here, that are witnessing the terror being unleashed by Russia upon the people of Ukraine, it is so grieving. It is so frustrating. And I just urge you, my friends, to pray for the truth to come out. And I urge you to not believe that Ukraine does not deserve support. Putin is not just Ukraine's problem. The world thought at one time that Hitler was just Europe's problem. They need to deal with it. And in the end, it became everybody's problem. And Putin is not just Ukraine's problem. If this cancer, this evil is allowed to spread, it will spread. And so Ukraine deserves your prayers. They deserve your support. And I urge you to just encourage our country in America to continue to do even more to stand up to this evil. And I urge you as Christians to pray and to ask God to bring an end to this evil, to bring peace to Ukraine, to comfort those who are suffering here, and to allow our family and the other believers here in the city of Zaporozhye who are ministering to these people who are hurting, to allow us to be that light of Christ, the hands and the feet and the heart of Jesus Christ to those who are enduring so much during this evil time. Thank you for praying. Thank you for supporting Ukraine. Thank you for praying for our family. We're truly grateful.